Well, welcome to the final section of Grace Alone. Section 10 is about the Lord's Supper. And we begin with asking the question, what is the Lord's Supper? If we're going back to our definition of sacrament, as we talked about it earlier, we see that the Lord's Supper is indeed a sacrament by the definition that we use as Lutherans. It was instituted by God very clearly, and we'll talk about that as Jesus instituted this sacrament for us in what we call the Last Supper. We have God's Word joined to visible elements, in this case bread and wine, and we have God's promise where He offers, seals, and gives us the forgiveness of sins in the Lord's Supper. Now the Lord's Supper is just one of the names we have for the sacrament. It's referred to by a number of other names, including communion or Holy Communion, the sacrament of the altar, the Mass. That's actually a word that's used in the Lutheran confessions, though because it really isn't used widely in the contemporary church, we don't hear it too often among Lutherans. And the Eucharist, which is really a beautiful name for this sacrament because the word itself means thanksgiving. And we hear Jesus sharing with us that word as He institutes this supper, this sacrament for us, and is recorded in 1 Corinthians 11. And when Jesus had given thanks, He broke the bread and said, "This is my body, which is given for you. Do this in remembrance of me." So that's where the word Eucharist comes from. So the Lord's Supper, a sacrament known by other names, but we'll continue to call it the Lord's Supper throughout this section of Grace Alone.